Hello and happy Black History Month, people. Welcome to another episode of the Creative Differences podcast. I'm Dallas. I apologize for my background noise in advance. And when I was in high school, I went to a bookstore in Leimert Park and bought a book called War Against the Panthers by Huey Newton. And that day I could see the pride in my dad's eyes because I was becoming the militant he always wanted me to be. So, shout out to Esselwan Books in Leimert Park. I'm sorry that I probably mispronounced the name.
Okay, quick question. Just because it's you, did you buy it because it was about the Black Panther Party, or did you buy it because you like Panthers?
The first one.
Okay, good. Would be a bit of a shock if you bought it thinking it was about the animal, and then like, oh, nope.
Yeah, I was not that oblivious to the struggle back then.
Okay, good. Anyway, I'm Colin, and I'll be back later because I didn't do my homework for this one.
Yeah.
And I'm Demi, and I never thought I would side with the Black Panther Party until about 2016. Welcome to Creative Differences podcast.
It's going to be an interesting one. Today we are talking about Judas and the Black Messiah and some news, because that's the only movie that we're talking about, and that's probably good because we got some stuff to say about this. Is going to be one.
This is a lot. It was a lot, guys.
This movie hit.
But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe to our channel, as well as our podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, whichever one you use.
Yes, please like, share, and subscribe, because I want Daniel Kaluuya to hear me sing his praises. Do you want me to do the thing I do with the director and the writer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
Yeah, go ahead. And, we got to find a way to start this off somehow.
All right. Judas and the Black Messiah, directed by Shaka King, written by Shaka King and Will Burson, and developed from a story by the Lucas brothers, Keith and Kenny, who pitched the movie to A24, apparently, in 2014. Starring Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, Dominique Fishback, Jesse Plemons, and a bunch of other people. Summary is the story of Fred Hampton, chairman of the Illinois Black Panther Party, and his fateful betrayal by FBI informant William O'Neill, a.k.a. Never mind. I don't want to speak ill of the dead. So, Demi, what you think of the movie?
I liked it. Well, it's so hard to say. I liked it. Yeah, that was not an enjoyable experience. Colin asked me if it was an enjoyable experience. It's not an enjoyable experience, but I liked it. I thought it was a really good movie. Thought it was really well filmed. I think my only criticism of it is that and I couldn't really find the words to describe it until I read a review after I watched it, but I felt like they painted the characters with really broad strokes. So I never really felt like I completely understood who these two men were. There was not enough nuance in the writing, even though Daniel and Lakeith really are giving nuance in their performances. How did you feel?
I love this movie. It's always weird saying this is the best movie of the year when we're in February because
not much has come out.
Yeah, I've seen 4 movies that came out this year. It is the best.
Not to mention it's another COVID year, so
exactly. So by the time the year is over, I might have only seen 9 movies. But I do think that when this year is over, this will still be one of my favorite films of the year. It's an interesting thing what you're saying about the characters because, yeah, it is a lot of the performance that I think brings the layers to the character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like with the focus being on this particular story, since it's not really a biopic about Fred Hampton or O'Neill, it's more just about this situation that they were in. I kind of see why maybe they didn't dive too deeply into the characters, who they were before. And they were both very young at the time.
They were. That was another thing. I was I kind of wish they had cast actors that were actually closer to the age of those two men, because I think that would also add to the tragedy of it all, even though Daniel and Lakeith do magnificent jobs in this movie.
They do. And Fred Hampton was 21 when he was assassinated. And I was thinking about that because I'm often thinking about that. And I'm not even 30. But when I think about when I was 21, it just feels so different. I was a different person. I was that young. So just imagining he was almost a kid, was chairman of the Black Panther Party in Illinois. He was on the FBI's target list. He was doing so much. And it really sucks when you think about how much someone like that could do if they were able to continue living for an expected lifespan.
Yeah, it was just by the end of the movie I was just really upset because it was just Malcolm, Martin, Fred, it's these powerful Black men who really meant something to the community and who cared so much about their community. And they were all unjustly taken away because the government, yes, the government, thought that they were a danger to society at large, when really all they wanted to do was uplift the Black community. The Black community was such a threat to the government that they felt the need to take away the lives of these three men, all because they wanted to uplift their community. Yes, I'm
Right.
angry.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like this I was thinking about, this episode might just be me ranting. But there's a line early on in the movie, one of the first scenes, where Lakeith says a badge is scarier than a gun, because any nigga on the street can get a gun, but a badge is like you got the whole damn army behind you.
Yeah.
And the fact that that line stood out to me but wasn't shocking or some kind of revelation, because I know. I don't understand how in 2021 anyone does not understand why Black people don't trust the police. The cops and feds have been well-documented domestic terrorists for decades, and it hasn't changed. The stuff in this movie happens now. It happened a lot last year, was well-documented. And people are like, oh, no, how can you not trust the police? They're here to help. Bro.
Yeah, and I
this
think
movie,
I think this movie does a great job at not shying away from that. They don't try and give you some sanitized version of history to make it seem like, well, but we can still no. This is the truth of the matter. Law enforcement was breaking laws to kill Black men.
Right.
And to stop the progression of a marginalized community. And I think the movie shows that particularly well. It is very raw. It does not hold back. It does not pull punches. What you see is what you get. And it is led, like I've said already, it's led incredibly well by Daniel and Lakeith. Daniel is pulling out that accent real hard and real well.
Yeah, man. He's so good at every accent. I feel like Black Mirror might be the only time I've seen him use
his actual accent.
Yeah, he's in so many different things. I love all of them, but man, Get Out, American, Queen and Slim, American, Black Panther, Wakandan. This one, specifically Fred Hampton, Illinois. I was watching an interview with him 20 minutes ago, and I just love him so much because it was a Breakfast Club interview, and they're asking him, in the UK, do you guys learn much about Fred Hampton or the Black Panthers and stuff like that? Because, in America, for Black History Month, when we were kids, we get Martin Luther King because he was peaceful. And we got the bus boycotts because those were peaceful. And then there was also a guy named Malcolm X, but we're not going to talk about him.
Because he was violent.
Exactly. And we got nothing about the Black Panthers.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why in the intro I said I never thought I would, lean towards the Black Panther Party, because we didn't learn a lot about it in schools. It was avoided because all they told us was that they were a bunch of militant Black guys who carried guns around and wore leather jackets.
Right, exactly. And it's funny because Daniel Kaluuya in the interview was saying that they had the little syllabus or whatever, and that when he was in school, he would write Black Panthers in the blank space of the margins. I'm gonna have to teach myself about this because you guys aren't gonna teach me.
See, now I'm wondering, did y'all, when they briefly brought up the Black Panthers, did y'all ever see pictures of them? Because I know I didn't, and I feel like that was deliberate, because if we had seen pictures of them, we would have seen that they look dope as hell.
That's true.
I feel like I
think I only ever saw Malcolm X.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw, dudes with big guns and black leather jackets, black berets or whatever. But yeah, when you're a kid, you're being brought up, they're showing you pictures of people with guns. They're like, these are the bad guys. Unless, of course, they're cops or military, which... But yeah, it wasn't until I started to actually do my own research. And I'm like, oh yeah, they were carrying guns because if you don't carry guns, the police will just beat you up because they feel like it. And they were carrying guns to stop the police from beating up random people in the street. And we didn't learn anything about their programs to feed hungry kids or to start medical clinics.
Yeah.
To teach, to educate people in legal aid. That's another thing that I love this movie for, because it gives you all the things that we would never have gotten.
I really like that they emphasize the fact that he wanted to, he was big on community service. He was big on feeding children. He was big on trying to start this medical clinic. That was more important to him than anything else that we're taught in schools about the Black Panther Party. So that was one of the things I really appreciated about this story. I do want to say that Lakeith Stanfield is probably one of the most underrated actors of
He's
right
so
now.
good. He's so good.
And I think it's only because not a lot of people really know who Lakeith Stanfield is. But if you know who he is, you know that this guy is amazing.
Yeah, he has a lot of range, and you've probably seen him somewhere and be like, oh, that's that dude. Me being who I am, a lot of his roles fall into my purview of interest. Obviously,
Yes.
Atlanta, Get Out, Knives
Sorry
Out.
to bother you.
Sorry to bother you. Like, dude has been killing it for a long time. And this movie has great performances across the board. Like, I
Mhm.
knew that Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield were fantastic. I knew they would be. They always are. But I was super impressed by Ashton Sanders, Dominique Fishback, Dominique Thorne. Dominique Fishback is Deborah Johnson.
Yeah, she was really good.
Yeah. And then Dominique Thorne was Judy, the like sister in arms who was not playing no games with Lakeith.
I think she's the one who's going to be playing Ironheart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's playing Ironheart.
That's dope. That's
Riri
dope. She's really good.
Williams.
I love it. But yeah, Ashton Sanders, he's one that I've seen in a few things, but I don't often get to see him like this level of, I guess, intensity because he's usually the calm, reserved. Full disclosure, I still have not seen Moonlight, but I've seen him in stuff like The Equalizer 2. I've seen him on the Wu-Tang show, and he's kind of like the calm, reserved, laid-back guy. And this time he gets to be the militant, walking in the church with the Confederate flag, talking to all the white people. He was good at it. And I'd like to see him in more roles like this.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. I was happy to see Algie Smith as well. I'm a fan of his.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah, I've seen him he was in the New Edition miniseries that there was, which is really good, and he's on Euphoria, and he's great on that as well. Algie Smith is just a fantastic actor. So I mean, like across the board, like this movie is pretty great if you can handle watching something like this. The climax of the movie really, really got to me. I feel like if you don't know anything about the Black Panther Party, I think it's a good start to learning about it.
Yeah, you never want a movie to be your comprehensive education about a subject.
Absolutely not.
But this is, like you said, it's a good start. It's definitely a good place to start.
Also, Jesse Plemons consistently playing just awful people.
And he's so good at it. But it's interesting because he's one of those characters that when you have the, for lack of a better term, evil group of people, in this case being the feds, at certain points he almost seems less evil relative to his peers.
Oh yeah, I got scared for a second that they were going to try and make him sympathetic.
Yeah, because there's certain things that they're doing and he's like, wait, what are we doing? What's going on here? But then by the end of the movie, you're like, oh no, you're still a scumbag. Of course you are. But man, Jesse Plemons, he be acting. He's good.
Before we actually move on, though, I do also want to mention that I appreciate the fact that this movie kind of paints the picture that these two men, O'Neill and Fred, were both victims of white supremacy. Obviously, Fred Hampton a little bit more than O'Neill, but O'Neill was kind of forced into an awful situation where he was already down on his luck, and then they were like, well, to avoid prison, we want you to spy on this guy, and then ends up getting him killed. And like it does draw up the question, like if you were in that situation where it's your life or somebody else's, like what would you do?
Yeah, and he actually gets a bit of nuance toward the end because he seems, in the beginning, he seems like he really does not care one way or another about the movement and the struggle. And I think that's why they picked him, because they asked him like, hey, how'd you feel when MLK was assassinated, Malcolm X? And he's like, well, I didn't really think about that. But when he actually has to betray these people after being with them, it seems like it hits him a little different.
It does,
he is struggling toward the end. When freaking Lil Rel Howery comes out of nowhere.
I told you, Get Out reunion.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
And then immediately after that, Jermaine Fowler shows up, and I was like, sorry to bother you, reunion? What?
Right. I was like, man, they have some really dope actors for these like singular scenes. And yeah, the government sucks. That's the bottom line.
That's the moral of the story today. Yeah, so great movie, well shot, well acted, pretty well written, and very hard to watch.
Yeah, this one was there are a couple points where I'm like, ooh, all right, we're going through it.
I gasped a few times in the film, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I was feeling all the emotions. Like there were scenes in this movie that would have made me cheer, like the "I am a revolutionary" speech.
Oh, I love that.
Man,
I love that
theater.
Scene.
I would be cheering right now.
You can kill a revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution.
Yeah, he was so good. Like Fred Hampton was so good. Like it's funny. There's a line where Lakeith says he could sell salt to a slug because this man went into a church where a Confederate flag is hanging on the wall, and he got the leader of that group to come to the streets and yell, "No more pigs in our community."
Yeah,
Like,
alongside Black people and
Puerto
Latino
Ricans,
people.
like
Yeah, I was like,
the
how did,
ultimate hustler.
I was like, how did we get here? Wait a minute.
Rainbow Coalition. It's great. And I want to bring up, like, before we move on, and we will move on shortly, that whole scene, like the scene when the whole community comes together after the whole thing happens with the headquarters. Like, I love scenes like that because I love the notion that we're all different groups and maybe we come to blows because of our differences, but we got to look at who our enemy is. Like when they go in to meet the Crowns, the leader of that gang, it's like,
Yeah.
Yo, this is your territory. I respect that, but you got to think about who we're really up against. Like we're both in the same situation. He says the same thing to the Young Patriots, the Confederate flag dudes. And he's like, yo, you guys are broke like us. You guys are getting beat up by cops like us. We have the same enemy. We don't need to be against each other. We need to be united. And that scene where they go into the Crown's territory is so good. But I was distracted because of Steele, the leader. He looked super familiar to me, and I couldn't place him. So I had to go to IMDb, and I found out that he's Tracy from Atlanta.
So
was
Atlanta
like-
reunion as well. Great.
Right. I was like, who is this dude? And I'm looking, I'm like, Chris Davis. Shout out to Chris Davis. Tracy? Oh my God, that's Tracy. And it's so good to see him in a role where I don't hate him because Tracy is so annoying in Atlanta.
Which one is Tracy?
The one that Ern tries to fight, the one who wears the do-rag.
On the
to let him
highway?
make, baby.
Oh no,
Yeah.
he's
that nigga.
awful.
He's so awful. But yeah, now he's playing this like
Gang
put
leader.
together gang leader. So good. This movie's so good. I love it. I will probably try to watch it again at some point. It's not one of those movies that I don't think I could watch again.
I don't know if I could. The climax
Yeah, there are a
really
lot of
got
movies
me.
like that. Oh yeah, that hit hard. It's good. For me, everything is good, including the soundtrack. I did get to listen to it.
Yay.
It is fire. Like, did you listen to it all the way through?
I didn't even start it. I was like 22 tracks. I need to sleep. I've had a long week. I went to sleep before midnight last night, bro. Like I've had a long week.
That's different for you.
Yeah.
You've been working. I get it. So they got Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. for the intro of the album, which I thought was super dope. And yeah, they have Nas, Black Thought, Nipsey Hussle, Jay-Z, Rakim.
The song that
They have
her
Rhapsody.
has. Oh, the song that
Yes.
her has in the credits is really
in
good.
the credits. It's really good. I think that's like the first song after the intro. And I was like, okay, I'm liking this. I want to say I'm really glad that Rhapsody is on the album because for anyone who may remember listening and talking to me, Rhapsody was on my favorite artist of the year list last year.
This year, technically.
Yes, the episode came out this year, but the list was compiled last year. But yes, mostly because of that verse she has on the Fight the Power remix where I told you she has that line, you love Black Panther, but not Fred Hampton. And I was like, oh my God, they got her on the soundtrack for a Fred Hampton movie. I love it. Full circle. Shout out to Rhapsody. She's great.
All right, so I guess we should move on to news because we
The
don't do that too
news.
often.
No, it's been quite a while.
It's been a while. First up, Zaw Ashton has been cast as the villain in Captain Marvel 2. And just women everywhere in this movie. I love it. It's fantastic.
Did they say who the villain is? Or it's
No,
just
she's
the
just the villain.
Cool.
We don't know which villain. She is the villain.
All right. I don't know any Captain Marvel villains other than Skrulls.
Yeah. I think it's actually really cool, though, because a lot of people have pointed out on the internet that she one time cosplayed as Captain Marvel.
Ooh.
Nice.
So, like, that's kind of cool. Like, imagine, like, you cosplayed as a character and then you get to be in their movie, like, a few years later.
I feel it. It's pretty dope.
It's kind of
That's a dream.
That's exciting. Everything that comes out about the new Captain Marvel movie, I'm just like, yes, this movie should be pretty good. For anybody wondering who Zaw Ashton is, she was in Velvet Buzzsaw, Blitz, a movie called Greta, Nocturnal Animals. She was on a show called Gorilla, which I watched a few years back, as in Guerilla, not Gorilla.
Good distinction to make.
For the record. But yeah, Captain Marvel 2 is shaping up. We got Nia DaCosta. We've got Brie Larson obviously coming back. We've got Tiana Paris, who is currently killing it on WandaVision.
I'm excited for her.
More on that in a few weeks.
Yes.
We've got Iman Vellani playing Kamala Khan, who will have her Ms. Marvel show coming out any day now. Not any day now, but you know,
At some point.
soonish.
Sounds like a fun time.
I'm excited. Can't wait to see what they do. Next up on the list, we have Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey have been cast in the Last of Us TV adaptation.
Yo, that casting, it slaps. It slaps so hard. Also, I haven't seen anything about it, but I know that somewhere there are white men who are mad.
Oh,
they have to be.
Probably, especially after this news came out. His Mandalorian co-star, who shall not be named, is no longer coming back to the show.
Yes. Also, like, they came out one right after the other.
Oh my gosh, but you know what was even better was the fact that the day before was the article with Pedro Pascal's trans sister.
Right.
It was just like a series of things that just happened. And it was just like, wow, look at the come up.
For real, though. Like, he's the Mandalorian. Now he's playing Joel. Like, that's huge.
Just out here adopting all the kids.
I guess that's his brand.
That's what he's doing nowadays.
Oh, man. I'm so upset. I'm going to have to start caring about The Last of Us again.
But you can just care about the TV show.
But that's the problem, is the TV show is following the game, and the game is great until the ending, which I absolutely hate. And since I assume they're not going to change the ending,
I mean, you never know.
No, they won't.
With video game movies, you never know.
Yeah, but the thing about that is that the ending is so poignant that I feel like if they change it, they lose that. And it's I don't know. I just feel like they can't. That's the thing, is I'm going to be so interested to watch how this show does things, because I just wonder how they're going to change things, because that game is beloved and it seems weird to change any of it given how much people love it as it is.
That goes for like any video game movie that comes out, though.
That's true, but I feel like it's different, at least a little bit in this case, because when you take something like, say, Tomb Raider, people love the games, but I feel like they love those games for the gameplay. And the story it's enjoyable, but you can make up a Tomb Raider story and I think people will be okay. Whereas Last of Us is beloved more for its story than anything else. A lot of people have said the gameplay is good, but has its flaws, you know? And so how they interpret that is going to be really interesting.
That's true. I very consistently say that you could just write any Indiana Jones type movie for Tomb Raider, and as long as it's good, nobody would care because it's good. For anybody who doesn't know, obviously, Pedro Pascal has been in a lot of things, including The Mandalorian, Game of Thrones, Kingsman, The Golden Circle?
Yes.
We Can Be Heroes, Wonder Woman 1984. The man has done a lot. And if you don't know who Bella Ramsey is, she is well known for Game of Thrones as Lyanna Mormont?
Yeah, Lyanna Mormont.
I wanted to make sure I got the right Lyanna. Yeah, Lyanna Mormont, who was
Is there another Lyanna?
I mean, yeah, technically.
Is
Lyanna
there?
Stark.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, but she's dead. Like, before the show started, she's dead.
I just wanted to make sure I got the last name right, though, for the character.
You're right.
She was dope on Game of Thrones, though. She was amazing.
She
total scene stealer. Speaking of Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, is rounding out some more of its cast. 4 more people were cast this week. We have Steve Toussaint, Eve Best, Reese Ifans, and Sonoya Mizuno. I love Sonoya Mizuno, so I'm actually really excited about her being cast in this.
This is cool. I mean, I'm glad they got some people of color in there. I hope that they actually get things to do and stick around for a while. I don't trust that they will, but I would like them to.
I mean, do you consider dying a thing to do?
No.
They did a lot of that in Game of Thrones, and they needed to do a little less of that.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Her character sounds interesting.
Who's the character?
She's playing, I don't know how to pronounce the name. I think it's Massaria, a dancer from Lace who eventually becomes the paramour of Matt Smith's Prince Daemon Targaryen, and eventually the mistress of whispers to Queen Rhaenyra.
Ooh, Mistress, I like that, because Varys was one of my favorite characters from Game of Thrones. So if she's taking on a role like that, that's going to be exciting.
It's really cool. As long as she doesn't get caught, she's going to live for a while.
I mean, Varys made it a good long way into the
Varys
show.
made it until like season 8, episode 4. So
yeah.
considering how long that show went. These 4 actors will be joining Patty Constantine, Olivia Cook, Emma Darcy, and Matt Smith, who have already been cast for the show. I'm pretty excited.
Filming?
I don't think they started filming yet, but it is supposed to come out in 2022.
So they need to get on that.
They probably will pretty soon. I'm sure that's why they've started giving more casting announcements, because they have to start filming soon. Another piece of news that we've got, which was just announced recently, was Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge reuniting to team up for Mr. and Mrs. Smith series at Amazon.
Dope.
All you needed to tell me was Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but like I also love Mr. and Mrs. Smith, so I'm excited to see what they do with that.
That's a fun movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a very fun
I
movie.
dig it.
I don't have any feelings on Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but you tell me Donald Glover is headlining something. All right, I'm in. Let's go.
Yo,
Also,
same.
is he going to
That
be a
exact
spy?
sentence.
Like, he going to look suave as hell? That's going to be good.
I mean, I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge off the strength of Solo alone. I'm excited. I'm good. I'm good with
Yeah,
that.
like yesterday, I was talking about this, and then I was like, yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen any of Phoebe Waller-Bridge's work. And then somebody was like, oh, she's the robot in Solo. I was like, L3? They're like, yeah. It's like, oh, so we've seen them together before.
Yeah, that's what's really exciting to me.
And it works out. Yeah.
But also, they're like two of the best TV writers right now. So
she writes Killing Eve.
she
Yeah?
writes Fleabag.
She,
Fleabag.
I think,
Wait, didn't she make Killing
created
Eve too?
Killing Eve and show ran the first season. And then she
Oh,
left to go
gotcha,
do
gotcha.
Fleabag.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't seen either of those shows, but I heard they're
She
good.
also did some work on the James Bond movie that's supposed to be coming out pretty soon. Eventually.
Oh, yeah, I heard about
One
that.
day. Yeah, we've talked about that on the show at some point. I don't remember when, but it was brought up. They're two of the best writers in TV. Like, people love their work. So I'm excited to see what they're planning on doing with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which was, for all intents and purposes, a great action movie. But I don't think Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, when I think about that, I would think about somebody remaking that movie in any form.
Yeah, it's interesting because are they starring in this show?
They
Like,
are.
they're
They are.
the leads?
They are starring and they are creating it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was talking to Kayla about this yesterday, and I was like, Kayla loves that movie too, and I like it. And I was thinking, if you tell me Mr. and Mrs. Smith and you think Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, this doesn't have that energy.
No, this is not the same energy at
like
all.
Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge do not have Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie energy.
In fact, I would cast Donald Glover to play the Adam Brody character. What are we doing here?
Yeah, he could. I mean, he could play any character in there except for Angela Bassett. Yeah, it's not good or bad. It's just different. So I'm looking forward to seeing them do something different.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm super excited. I know a lot of people are like, I'm tired of reboots and remakes. I'm like, there's still some creativity that is required for rebooting and remaking something.
For this one, y'all realize we could totally do like a throwback and a review. Just saying. Putting that out there.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm ready.
What I need to know, Mr. Glover, is what's going on with Atlanta?
Bruh.
Because
okay, Dallas.
Last we heard, hold on. Last we heard, I think seasons 3 and 4 were filming like back to back or something.
Yes.
And they're both coming out one day.
Dallas, you didn't get you're supposed to get a postcard in the mail. Every postcard has a letter from one of the season scripts, and you have to like find everybody else who has them and piece them together to get the scripts. But then you can't actually read the scripts, but that'll like lead you to a link of a website that'll give you like a 1-minute clip of the show. You didn't hear about all that?
Oh, so what you're saying is he's back on his because the internet back.
100%.
He's doing that kind of stuff again. Okay. You know what? Then tell me that, Donald. Tell me something, because I'm happy for you.
I mean,
I want you to have all the success in the world, but where is Atlanta? I need it back. Bring it back, please.
I mean, he said that it's season 3 and season 4 are going to be some of the best TV since The Sopranos. So
yeah, that's all well and
that
good.
takes time.
But you gotta make it. Also, when did season 2 come out? 2019?
Yes.
2018.
Oh my god! What?
2018? It's been 3 years
Yeah,
since Teddy Perkins.
I believe so, because the 3rd season was announced in 2018.
Oh
Goodness
my
gracious,
god,
Donald, come on.
I mean, it's not just his fault. His cast is busy. You see, we just watched a movie with Lakeith Stanfield last night.
That's true. And Brian Tyree Henry probably gonna make like 8 movies this year.
Listen, Brian Tyree Henry is going to be in a movie that we're going to review next month.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're busy.
But also,
I love all of them, and I want them to have all the success in the world.
Anytime soon. Maybe don't hype it up so much, you ass. Like,
The production was postponed, obviously, because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, I feel it.
So, yeah, season 3 is supposedly still supposed to come out in 2021. We'll see if that happens.
Fingers crossed. I need some Atlanta in my life.
But yeah, we have one more piece of news, which is all
Yes.
Dallas, because okay.
Yes. So sometimes, let's say 1 out of every 20 episodes, we talk about video games here. I don't play a lot of video games, but a video game series I did play a whole lot and still do is EA Sports NCAA football.
Damn it. You had me in the first half, not going to lie.
Ha! Ha 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 ha. Surprise. This is the only time that we're going to talk about video games, and it's me instead of Colin who's interested. Because Colin is our gamer.
So, question: Are they
going
to pay these college football players?
And that is the big question. So, here's a little history lesson for everyone. EA Sports used to make NCAA football up until 2013, and the NCAA is pretty shady. So they don't want to let these kids make any money from anything. But EA Sports was using the likeness of the players, jersey numbers, physical appearance, all that stuff. And then somebody was like, hey, you got to pay these kids if you're going to use their likeness. And the NCAA was like, nah. So the games stopped. And there are differing theories about like that being the official reason that the game stopped, and blah, 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 blah. So then all the people like me on the internet who love this game were heartbroken and have just been holding out hope that one day the game will come back, like Atlanta season 3 and 4. And we got the announcement that EA Sports is bringing it back. Now, they're not calling it NCAA because we don't know if they're going to do that whole licensing thing again. But they're going to do some kind of college football video game, something like they did in the past. We have basically no details except they're bringing back something vaguely similar. And you know what? That's enough for me right now because I just need these games back because Madden got super lazy and stopped putting new things in their games, and I hate it.
But what's to say that these college games won't just be Madden, but college themed?
I feel like the college games, like even, when they were both being made at the same time, always had a different kind of feel to it. Like there's something about the college football experience that doesn't really overlap a whole lot with the professional football experience. And it would take too long to explain all the little differences. EA Sports is aware that people aren't really big fans of how Madden has gotten lazy over the last few years, but they've had an exclusive contract with the NFL. So basically no other video game company could make an NFL game. So they had no competition. So they're like, we don't really need to improve because what else are you going to do? So yeah, I feel like they're getting their shot back for the first time in 8 years or however many years, because it's not coming out this year, or however many years to try to impress these fans again. I don't think they're going to half-ass it. So yeah, I'm excited.
I wish you the best of luck because EA does not have a good track record with anything. Yeah, anything.
That's the thing.
I wouldn't go that far. Didn't they make Jedi Fallen Order?
Well,
I don't know.
They published it. So yes, but they're just not, as far as video game companies go, they're not great for
that makes
a lot
me sad.
It's fine. They're not hurting for anything. They own every studio under the sun.
I mean, they used to be amazing. That's why I'm sad about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Colin and I run in different circles in pretty much every aspect of life, including video games. So a lot of my favorite games have been made by EA. And one of the few things they do have a great track record with is...
EA doesn't really
shut up, Colin.
Shit. I'm just saying they don't really have any internal studios.
Is that the college football games are something they had a great track record with. So looking forward to that.
I'm just saying, you want me to talk more on this podcast. Then when I talk on this podcast, you tell me to shut up. So what is the truth?
Shut up, Colin. To me, what were you saying?
Well, I hope that these kids get paid.
Yo, same. Aside from the video game mess, the whole NCAA football, like in real life, is being looked into because it's like, yo, you guys are making so much money off these kids. Let them be compensated in some form or fashion. And that's a whole thing with Congress and the government and the NCAA. And that's happening separately. So good luck to all the players out there. I hope you get paid because y'all making too much money for these old white men.
Thank you guys for joining us today.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us today.
We hope that you guys learned a lot because we gave quite a bit more information than I anticipated.
Oh, yeah. We out here teaching.
Yeah, we was teaching about the Black Panther Party. We did some teaching on the NCAA, which I only know about because my cousins are extremely against the fact that they don't pay their players.
I mean, why would you not? Like,
I don't have an answer for you, Colin.
Work. And they're also putting their health on the line to a certain extent. Like,
And they're making your
Oh, to a
college
very,
look
can
good.
fuck you up.
And it does more often than not.
Yeah, so you guys have learned a lot today, I hope.
Yes, you've learned a lot about shady old white men and their shady dealings.
And their need for money and power.
In the past and the present. J. Edgar Hoover was the devil. Thanks for listening to all of that. Thank you, Crown Digital, Branding the IO, for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, giving us a platform to educate. Demi, thank you for editing and for talking to me about the dope-ass movie that was Judas and the Black Messiah.
You know, I tried.
Colin, I appreciate you. Colin, thank you for chiming in for the Last of Us convo, because you ditched us when we did that fan cast.
Yes, I did.
I ain't forget.
Also, it was nice to hear you talk about video game companies.
That's something I like talking about. So if you ever want me to do that again, let me know.
We've noticed it comes up in our group chat a lot. We don't get to talk about it a lot on the podcast, though.
We'll have to work more video game conversations into the
Please do.
the
I have
sections here.
thoughts.
Well, you could suggest some things.
Man, I don't, but y'all ain't into that shit.
You're not into the game I was
You
just
want me
talking
to
about? It
stand
stopped
up
me
on
from
a
talking about it.
goddamn soapbox and tell you why EA sucks? Because I can do it. But ain't nobody want to hear that.
That's a whole different podcast.
We'll brainstorm. For you, audience, let us know in the comments if you want Colin to rant about EA like I rant about the government. Also, let us know what you think about Judas and the Black Messiah. You can put all of that in the comments. You can find us on the medias at Twitter, y'all_different, Instagram and Tumblr, Creative Differences Podcast, and Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you want to talk to me about the first movie to legitimately make me tear up, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at a king named Simba.
I'm sorry, you can't just drop that shit at the end? What? Go back to
Yeah, I
that.
figured I would do that
Go back to
45
that.
minutes in.
You got one? You
We're at the
finally
outro.
got one?
We're at the outro, Colin.
Why didn't you
You
put
got
that
one.
at the top? How are you going to bury the lead like
He
that?
buried the lead.
You're the worst.
I love you
Anyway.
too.
You can find me on Twitter at Duck McGuck.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thanks again for joining us.
We don't have one for Gabby. I know you're disappointed, but I'm sorry.
I feel like that's a hard one to come out. Yeah.
That's the
this
thing
movie.
is the subject matter is so heavy. I feel like it wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually try to think of a joke Twitter based around the, headline of the episode. But there were no jokes I wanted to make about Judas and the Black Messiah.
That's not a joke.
So,
There be no jokes.
So Gabby, you got away with one. All right, it's been different. Bye.
Bye.